And DD India's Jessica Taneja joins us live on this broadcast from Moscow. Jessica, hi, good afternoon. Annual summit between Prime Minister Modi and Russian President is, you would agree, the highest institutional dialogue mechanism, especially in the strategic partnership between both sides. And this particular one coming after 3 years. But we've seen a lot has changed around the world and the relationship has also expanded. You're there, you've been reporting since last 48 hours. What do you think makes this very critical vis-a-vis the timings and the intent shown by both sides?
Right, today seems to be an important day for both the leaders. As you pointed out, they're meeting after 3 years and Prime Minister is coming to Moscow after nearly, this is the first visit, pardon me, to Moscow and a visit to Russia since 2019 when he met Vladimir Putin at Vladivostok. In case, at this point, we know that the two leaders have a packed schedule for today and tomorrow. Where I am, Sakal, is where the Prime Minister will arrive in a few hours from now. He will be greeted and he'll be meeting the Indian diaspora as well. On his arrival, he's being received by the Deputy Prime Minister of Russia at the airport. So a grand welcome for the Prime Minister here. But given the current geopolitical climate and how it's turning around, India and Russia continue to focus on a polycentric world where there is no major hegemon that sort of rules the world order, and multipolarity is defined in the geopolitical complex that we are witnessing right now. And given the fact that it was just yesterday that Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán was here as well to meet with Vladimir Putin. So a lot of diplomatic activity happening here, but the focus is on the Prime Minister's visit. There's heavy security deployment here, and the two leaders have a lot to discuss today and tomorrow.
Yeah, taking it from there, Orbán was there yesterday. Today he's in Beijing, and now, this is our Prime Minister's first visit ever since the Russian invasion of Ukraine happened. But then we have seen ties between India and Russia have remained strong, notwithstanding Moscow's invasion, or what they call special military operation in Ukraine. Jessica, now at a time when Ukraine conflict has really split the world, how are both sides going to really navigate the conversation if at all this comes up?
Well, the intricacies that have emerged from the Russian occupation in Ukraine has, of course, shocked the world, both economically and otherwise as well. India has been able to absorb quite a bit of that shock, helping Russia diversify its oil trade, especially when India has been able to import discounted Russian crude, and that has helped Indian economy and also helped balance the oil trade in the world. But the focus, of course, is also on how to view the Ukraine situation at this point. Now, India, as you recall, has called for dialogue and diplomacy. If you would also remember, the last time when Prime Minister met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Samarkand in Uzbekistan, he had pointed out that this is not an era of war. So India wants to mediate peace, and India wants to continue with its policy of strategic autonomy, having that kind of balance, a relationship between both Ukraine and Russia. You'd recall when Prime Minister Narendra Modi took the office for the third time, he received calls from both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, assuring both that India will be able to help mediate and maintain that balance when it comes to relationship between both Ukraine and Russia. But as with Russia, you'd know that our historic ties are time-tested and, of course, something that would continue in the long run as well.
Yes, and the fact that President Putin calls Prime Minister Modi his quote-unquote time-tested friend is just recalled. Now, from there, let's talk about the expectation setting as far as Kremlin is concerned. You've spoken to various think tank representatives there. You've interacted with the diaspora. But on diplomacy front, how does Russia really look at leveraging the summit-level talks? In the sense, what makes this Prime Minister Modi's visit to Moscow significant for them?
Right, and the itinerary so far has been able to tell us that there will be delegation level talks and also conversation between Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi briefly, where they will touch upon various issues starting from energy trade to defense as well. And you'd recall during the last visit in Vladivostok, there was a discussion on how to enhance the route between Vladivostok and Chennai, not to forget the international north-south transportation corridor, where India has recently agreed to develop the Chabahar port, which would then connect to the Moscow port from the Mumbai port towards the Moscow port. So that is an important trade route that India has been able to sort of chart out with the help of the Russians and, of course, Azerbaijan and with Oman. That includes the Duqm port. That is an important maritime route that India would, of course, push for and hope for more discussion and more clarity. Apart from that, looking at the current oil trade, Sakal, if you see, India has benefited quite greatly from discounted Russian crude, while the Western nations had capped the import of crude at $60 a barrel. India has been able to buy it for $30 a barrel and been able to diversify and help not only the Indian economy but also help balance the oil trade otherwise, and also making sure that Russia is not isolated or alienated, and hoping for a multipolar world where all nations can work together and there is no one hegemon that dictates the world order and the institutional mechanisms.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Jessica, of course, will come to you later in the day. But as of now,